Today is the day that we've been waiting for. Elon Musk and former President Trump will come together for an interview that will surely break the internet. We have all of those updates for you guys tomorrow. Also in the news, Kamala Harris finds out that she cannot win by being herself. So instead, she will just copy what Trump is doing. Kind of like a few months ago when Joe Biden painted himself orange in an attempt to literally turn into Trump. All of that and more on today's episode.
Facts over tracks, isn't that spitting slow, spitting fast, I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past.
Digging right in, we actually have a Daily Wire article. We have Kamala Harris copied Trump's no tax on tips. But what she doesn't know, or maybe she does, and she's just being stupid here, is the fact that the Biden-Harris administration moved to enforce tip taxation. So of course, this is what the Democrats do. They like to say one thing and they like to put all these promises on the table. They're like, oh my God, life is going to be so great. Oh my God, you don't even have any idea. Life is going to be so great that you don't even know that you're living a life. Like that's how promises that Democrats will give. That's all of the sweet little nothings they're going to whisper into our ear. But then in reality, the life we're living right now, we can barely even afford it. So we can even afford the life that we're living. We cannot afford anything at the grocery stores. We cannot do anything fun in our life because we can't even afford anything. So never mind that. And then you're going to sit here and gaslight us into thinking that we're living a good life. No, this has been Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's economy for the last 4 years. Are you liking it? Do you want to continue down this route? Do you want to continue down the route of paying double for the gas, double for electric, double for natural gas for cooking at your house? Do you want to pay double for everything, house insurance, to materials that you need to build a house? It's just so much things that are now up thanks to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I have no remorse. I have no expectation whatsoever that she will actually bring down the economy and help us Americans, because she does not like America. She does not like us. She wants to bring in all of these illegal immigrants and give them a better life as what we will actually get. That's pathetic. The Biden administration announced a new program to, quote, improve tip reporting compliance to the IRS more than a year before Vice President Kamala Harris' presidential campaign promised to eliminate tax tips. So the IRS and Treasury Departments introduced a new tip reporting program that last year called the Service Industry Tip Compliance Agreement, the SITCA program. That stated that the goal of the program is to, quote, improve tip reporting compliance. So if you do not already know, it's kind of the same situation with waiters and waitresses, or if you work at Dunkin' Donuts or like a fast food restaurant. I know the Dunkin' Donuts aspect almost 100% because I had a friend that used to work there. Every single time he used to clock out of his shift, they used to ask him how many tips did you actually get? How much in tips did you get? And they used to tax you on that rate. And that's the same exact thing for waiters and waitresses. That's exactly what they end up doing. Obviously, that's something that the Biden administration really cares deeply about because of the fact that they want more money in their pockets and they don't really care about you. They don't really care about you affording anything. That's exactly why Trump is like, no, we're just going to get rid of tax on tips altogether. And he also says that we're also going to remove tax on Social Security. Which, okay, Social Security should not be a thing because of the fact that we're going to go bankrupt. But this actually takes the whole entire thing out of the Democrats' hands right now because of the fact that he's like, no, you know what? I like Social Security so much that I'm going to say no tax on Social Security. So obviously the Democrats are not going to do this. They would never do this because of the fact that they want to tax you, the American, more. They don't want to tax you, the American, less. That doesn't make any sense in their mind. Of course it doesn't. The program is currently optional for employers to enroll, but the program's intent is to become, quote, the sole tip reporting compliance program for employers in various service industries and eliminate several other tip reporting processes, according to the IRS. Harris announced on Saturday that she will win the White House in 2024. She will eliminate taxes on tips. And she made the pledge during a rally in Las Vegas on Saturday. So the same exact thing that Trump did. It is my premise to everyone here, where I am president, we will continue for working families in America, including to raise the minimum wage and to eliminate taxes on tips for the service hospitality workers, Harris promised the crowd. Harris's proposal came roughly 2 months after former President Trump promised the same exact reform at the same exact rally in the same exact city, Las Vegas, which is a sizable service and hospitality industries to support its gambling and entertainment businesses. Trump responded to Harris's announcement in a post on Truth Social, calling on the Harris pledge an idea stolen from the Trump campaign, which is a complete truth. I mean, 100%. When somebody introduces a plan that they have months earlier, and then their arrival steals that plan. Obviously, that's stealing. I mean, we can call it exactly what it is. That's the exact definition of stealing from somebody. Kamala Harris, whose honeymoon period is ending and is soon to be hammered in the polls, just copied my no tax on tips policy. The difference is she won't do it. She just wants it for political purposes, Trump posted. It is a Trump idea. She has no ideas, and she can only steal from me. Remember, Kamala promised the largest tip increase in history. It will not happen. Make America great again. That's exactly what he said, and I completely agree with that. If she could do it, then she would do it right now. She can't do it. She can't do it right now. She can't convince Joe Biden to do it to help her presidency. She's not going to do it at all. It's just a empty promise. Trump will actually get it done. Nevada, as a battleground state, should be crucial determining the 2024 election. Trump currently has an edge over Harris in the state, leading the vice president by nearly 4 points in the Real Clear average, the Real Clear Politics polling average, which I completely agree with. But the thing is here, the polls are iffy, of course, so it's very, very hard looking at some polls. Some polls actually put Trump, as for right now, 11 points ahead of Kamala Harris, which is out of the buffer zone and the margin of error. But the thing is, I still don't believe these polls. I mean, I don't believe the polls if it says that Trump's going to win. I don't believe the polls if it says that Trump's going to lose. So, I don't know. I mean, I really hope that Trump does win. Obviously, Trump 2024. But the thing is, I really don't want Kamala Harris to win because of the fact that we already saw what Joe Biden has done for the whole entire world. Everyone's on fire. Everyone's at war with each other. And I want to think that this manufactured optimism for Kamala Harris has been fake and has been a honeymoon phase. But I really don't think that it is. And the question I have for Democrats is that if you liked Kamala Harris so much, if you really enjoyed her, then why didn't you vote for her in 2020 when she was running herself against Joe Biden? Was it not her time? Why did you stop supporting her after Tulsi Gabbard actually exposed her for what she is, a big fraud? So again, people need to wake up here. Tulsi Gabbard is still coming out till today against Kamala Harris and saying, listen, people don't know what they're voting for. And I completely agree with that. So, this is another article from the Daily Wire. Spin cycle. Democrats media battle reality to lay down cover fire for walls. For those who don't spend their Sunday mornings glued to the TV, here are the Sunday afternoons attempting to dig through a week's worth of network in cable news media spin. The week spin conceded effort to protect Governor Tim Walz, Democrat from Minnesota, now that he has joined the Vice President Kamala Harris's presidential campaign. This week on ABC, he said, George Stephanopoulos, I know actually that looked like George Stephanopoulos, but it actually is John Carl. So this is a quote from the senator, Amy Kullenberger, Butcher, whatever it is. I love Joe Biden, but we are moving forward as a party, as a nation, and Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are bringing America with them like we have never seen before. What do you mean? They're not bringing anything because they just started running. Nobody agrees with this. She also waited on reports surrounding Walz's time in the National Guard, specifically numerous reports that he retired and even forfeiting a planned promotion only after learning that his unit was set to deploy into Iraq. I think he made the decision that he was going to run for Congress. Yes, of course, we already know this dum-dum. We're saying that he actually forfeited and he actually gave up his baton. He actually said, no, you know what? I'm not doing this. No, I need to risk my life. I'm not doing it. We obviously know that he gave up the military service to join Congress, but why? Why did he do that at that specific time? If he did it years earlier, fine. We'll give him the credit. He didn't do it at time of war. But as soon as he found out that his battalion was actually going to go into conflict at a battleground, then he said, nah, I'm good, guys. I'm just going to go into Congress and live the rest of my life really happily. Like, what are you talking about here? Like, are we going to sit here and play these same exact games? And also on CBS's Face the Nation, Governor Laura Kelly, a Democrat from Kansas, took the baton and ran with it, attempting to paint Walz as nothing more than less than a tyrannical Midwestern dad, which is just insane. You can put him in any state fair on the main street and certainly in any Friday night football game in rural Kansas, and he will fit right in, she said, which is just stupid. I mean, obviously, that's not true whatsoever. And then, of course, we have everyone's favorite Department of Transportation Secretary, Pete Buttigieg. He went on CNN's State of the Union and said that people were actually attacking Walz's military record, despite the fact that the people that are actually criticizing Walz have specifically said that their problem with the way that he has consistently made misleading statements about his service, not with the service himself. Of course. I mean, that's exactly what the problem is. Why? I mean, of course. I mean, you're dodging the question here, Pete Buttigieg. The problem is that he lied about being in service. He's lied about actually being in the battleground, having quote-unquote weapons of war, that you should have them on the quote-unquote battlefield and not quote-unquote at your house. That's exactly his quote. He said that there is weapons of war that should be done at the battleground, and you should not be allowed to actually have them in your own house. This is the most stupid thing too. And I don't know if you watch Caitlin Bennett, which she actually goes around and actually asks people questions. It's kind of like man on the street type thing. She actually just asks people questions and then kind of just debates them and then has them just silenced because it's just stupid what they're saying. So there's this guy that Caitlin actually went up to, and she asked, what is a weapon of war? And he's like, well, weapons that are used in war. And she's like, okay, so what classification? So just because of the fact that a weapon was used at some point in war, then it should be illegal. And he said, yes. Okay, so then she didn't really say this, but I'm saying this now. A musket was used in war. That only shoots one bullet at a freaking time. What, we should ban that now? And then now they're saying he switches the actual definition of a weapon of war, and that's any weapon that actually shoots more than 7 bullets. Okay, so now you're limited to 7 bullets, but why? Just because of the fact that it can shoot 7 bullets. This is the exact thing here. These people that she asks questions for have no idea what a gun actually does, has no idea how to actually have gun safety, has no idea actually how to use a gun. That's exactly why they should just go to the range and see all the safety that the people are using right there. Yeah, just because of the fact that you don't agree with that somebody should have it does not mean that it's not safe keepings. It's not being safely handled in their gun safe or at the gun range. It's not anything like that whatsoever. Because I have a gun safe right behind this camera right here. Do you hear bullets going off? Do you hear bullets being shot out of the rifle that I have in there? No, you don't hear that. You don't hear bullets flying out of a pistol that we have in there either. You don't hear bullets flying out of a shotgun because it's called safe handling. It's called keeping them away, keeping them locked up, not keeping it loaded, keeping all the safeties on the guns as long as they're in the safe. And then when we're at the range, then we keep the safety on until we actually go to shoot it. And then when we go to shoot it, then we know how to aim and actually how to handle it and stuff like that. It's common sense. But the thing is, these people say common sense gun laws, but they don't actually do anything to actually prevent the illegal citizens from, not even just illegal citizens, anyone from actually obtaining a gun illegally. So these people can actually get whatever they want in the black market, but the legal citizens have to still go through all of these preposterous rules and regulations just to actually get accepted to have the gun. And then when they get accepted to have the gun, then it just gets banned. Just like in Massachusetts, how we talked about a few weeks ago, Massachusetts actually banned all semi-automatic rifles, every single one of them. They banned them. If it has a removable magazine, it's banned. That's even more harsh than Rhode Island. Rhode Island actually has a lesser crime rate than Massachusetts. Massachusetts is number 2, Rhode Island is number 1, but that's not because of the gun safety, quote unquote, that Massachusetts has. It's because of the fact that of the location. These people do not understand how gun safety actually works because of the fact that they do not actually handle guns. So they don't understand the safety that is actually needed to actually obtain a gun, actually have a gun, actually get permits and licenses to actually obtain those guns. They don't understand any of that. So they're saying, well, we need to pass common sense gun safety. Well, all of these things that you're saying needs to be passed are already passed. Nationwide, you cannot get a gun unless you wait the 24 hours for the background check. The only situation that you do not have to wait 24 hours for the background check is if you already have the licenses. And what people don't understand is that once you get a gun license, and you have a criminal record, that license gets taken away from you. So then if you wanted to go and obtain a gun again, they do the background check and you get denied and you cannot have that gun. It's just that simple. So what I'm not understanding here is that these people have no idea what they're even talking about, and it frustrates me because we have people that don't know what they're talking about, don't know how anything works, trying to make laws for us, the people that actually follow the laws, go to the gun range with all of the safety equipment, the eye protection, the ear protection, all of the protection that we actually need, and they're trying to tell us how to do our job. Not our job, but to keep our family safe, or to actually just have a fun time and bond with our family members. That's what we usually do in my family. We go to the range, we bond over that, and we're like, okay, this is actually fun, and stuff like that. That's what we do. It's just genuinely fun. It's just a leisure. It's something fun to do. It's a hobby. What people don't understand here is that they're like, oh, no, you don't need that. Yeah, you're not going to tell me what I need and what I don't need. Just like how I'm not going to tell you what you need and what you don't need when you're buying dildos on Amazon. Like, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that you're not going to buy that. It just doesn't make any sense. With that being said, I mean, as you can tell, I'm already annoyed at these people. I really can't. Like, what kind of, and it's funny too, because now looking over Caitlin Bennett's shoulder and looking at the girlfriend or the wife of these people that she's actually interviewing, you could just tell that they're just like embarrassed. They're just embarrassed because they're dating such a man. They really are. With that being said, right, we have another article from the Daily Wire. We have United States accelerates deployment of aircraft carrier strike group in Middle East amid imminent threat from Iran Hezbollah. So the United States is accelerating the deployment of an aircraft carrier strike group to the Middle East amid an imminent threat to Israel from the Islamic Republic of Iran and Hezbollah, Iran's largest terrorist proxy group. The announcement came after the Department of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke with Israeli Prime Minister Defense Yoav Gallant on Sunday about the situation. The Pentagon said in a statement that the United States was taking every possible step to defend Israel and noted that strengthening the United States military posture and capabilities throughout the Middle East in light of the escalating regional tensions, which is actually Joe Biden's fault and Kamala Harris's fault. Reinforcing the commitment to Secretary Austin, has ordered the USS Abraham Lincoln Carrier Strike Group, equipped with F-35C fighters, to accelerate its transit to the Central Command area of responsibility, adding to the capabilities already provided by the USS Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group. The statement continued. Additionally, the Secretary has ordered the USS Georgia SSGN 729 guided missile submarine to the Central Command region. The expected attack comes after Israel killed Fahd Shurek last month, Hezbollah's most senior military commander and the head of its strategic unit, and Hezbollah Secretary General Hossein Nasrallah's right-hand man, according to the IDF. Shurek was responsible for directing all of Hezbollah's attacks on Israel since Hamas' unprecedented October 7th terrorist attack, in which thousands of terrorists stormed into Israel from Gaza and murdered 1,200 people, wounded more than 5,000, and took hundreds of people hostage. The United States government had placed a $5 million bounty on Shurek for playing a central role in the October 23, 1983 bombing of the United States Marine Corps barracks in Beirut, which killed 241 United States military personnel and wounded 128 others. This is exactly what I don't understand here. If the United States already had a bounty on this person, why is Joe Biden so freaked out about Israel killing this very person? If the United States already had a bounty on that person, we should be thanking Israel for doing our bidding. It's like, yeah, we have helped and protected Israel, and now Israel is helping and protecting us. What goes around comes around. Israel is also now believed to be behind the killing last month of the Hamas terrorist leader Ismail Haniyeh in the bombing on a guest house he was staying inside of. Various intelligence assessments have concluded that the attack will be coordinated between Iran and Hezbollah, and will likely occur early this week. Yeah, so they're heating up for a war. I mean, obviously, Hamas started this war, and Israel and the United States will end this war because of the fact that it needs to be ended. We can't just have this war go on and on and on and on and on, just like how it's going to be going on and on and on in Ukraine. All of this needs to stop. already because of the fact that Joe Biden is weak on foreign policy. That's exactly what we need to remember in November. Joe Biden does not care about actually having peace throughout the world, actually coming together as one America, like Joe Biden likes to say. No, Joe Biden does not care about this. Kamala Harris is just going to laugh it off. You really think that she knows how to actually get countries to get along with each other? No. She just fell out of a coconut tree, like she says. With that being said, we're going to be digging into the headlines of the week. So, digging right into the headlines of the week, we actually have a Federalist article. We have "Don't Let the Camo Hat Distract You" from Tim Walz's radical record. So, Tim Walz's record as governor of Minnesota is very bad as that of the Biden-Harris administration, if not worse. Governor Tim Walz, Democrat from Minnesota, was largely unknown to voters across the country when Vice President Kamala Harris selected him to be her running mate. So his record is coming under national scrutiny for the first time. Unfortunately for Walz and the Democrats, his record as governor of Minnesota is every bit as bad as the Biden-Harris administration, if not worse. When the George Floyd riots came and began to get into Minneapolis in May of 2020, Walz ditched for 4 days while Minneapolis and other cities burned. Walz refused to call out the National Guard. By the time the riots were finally brought under control, the Minneapolis Police Department's third precinct station had been stormed by the rioters and burned along with many other buildings. The result is a crime wave that continues to be present. Throughout its history, Minnesota has always been a low-crime state. But as a result of Walz's anti-law enforcement policies, the rate of serious crimes in Minnesota now extends the national average for the first time. Minnesota is officially a high-crime state. That's thanks to Walz. Walz's tenure has been equally destructive for Minnesota's economy. Historically, Minnesota has been a relatively high-income state. Its per capita gross domestic product has always been higher than the national average, but that too is no longer true. Walz's anti-business, anti-growth policies has taken their toll, so that beginning in 2023, Minnesota's per capita GDP is below the national average. Walz has performed the remarkable feat of making Minnesota an economically below average state. Students suffer. For many years, Minnesotans have believed that their public schools and students, like those of the fictional Lake Wabagon, are above average. But that again, true once, but not under Walz. The Walz administration has driven an explosion in spending in K-12 schools, but more spending has not meant better results. On the contrary, students' performance has plummeted. We're actually going to be doing a deep dive on the education system in America. I've been working on this deep dive for a long time. It's a 40-minute, highly produced another episode for the Don't Trust What You See series. I have that available on Arujo Studios YouTube channel if you do want to check that out. I will be releasing the trailer in the coming weeks because it's a lot for me to actually do this all on my own, research this, edit it, produce it, and I know that I have not did a deep dive in a little while here, but it's really going to be interesting and worth looking into. The whole entire United States education system has failed us, the American people. It really has, and this is just another thing telling it. Currently, fewer than half of all K-12 students in Minnesota's public schools that's crazy, fewer than half can actually read or do math at grade level. Shockingly, 64% of Minnesota's 11th graders can't do math at grade level. Imagine not being able to do math in 11th grade. That's crazy. I thought my public school was bad. It's not anything close to Minnesota's. And in most recent testing, both 4th and 8th graders' reading proficiency is lowest it's ever been recorded. Some of this decline is due to Walz's improvement closing Minnesota's schools closing of Minnesota's schools during the COVID epidemic, but dismissal test results continue to be present. Costly energy policy. Walz is an admirer of California, and he has never seen a left-wing California initiative that hasn't tried to import into Minnesota. Thus, he has been a strong advocate for wind and solar energy. He authored a proposal to require 100% of Minnesota's electricity to come from wind and solar by 2040, which is just 100% impossible. Remarkably, there is no cost to estimate for this plan, nor was there a feasibility study to show how it could be done. Energy experts at the Center for American experiment estimated the cost of Walt's plan at $313 billion, which is just insane. How much money are you actually saving by switching to a renewable energy? A price that still cannot assure reliable power. Nonetheless, Walz was able to get that legislation passed and signed into law, which is just disgusting. Because of Walz's green initiatives, the cost of the electricity in Minnesota has risen so much faster than the national average. Minnesota has lost its competitive average for cheaper than average electricity, and no doubt contributes to Minnesota's subpar economic growth. Is 100% true too, because of the fact that if you're spending all of these initiatives to actually make renewable energy, then that's actually making the energy more expensive. It's a very sad reality that America is facing right now, because we're trying to be renewable and green and stuff like that, but in reality, what that's actually doing is just rising the cost for everybody. It really is. Scandal and population loss. Walz's administration has also plunged in by scandal. Most notably, $250 million was stolen from taxpayers and are feeding our future scandal. The money supposedly went to feed poor children, but the meals for which the money was paid were almost entirely fictitious. Confronted with the facts, Walz lied, asserting falsely that his Department of Education has been required by a court order to make these payments. The claim was so outrageous that the court took the remarkable step of issuing a public statement refuting it. The acid test of policies in any state are people moving in or out. Sadly, Minnesota, which was once a magnet, now repels residents. Every year, Minnesota suffers a net outflow of residents to other states. Minnesota loses residents in every age bracket and in every income category. Above 50,000, the only income bracket where Minnesota gains residents on net is 0 to 25,000. Under Walz's leadership, Minnesota has joined California, New York, and Illinois as a state that many people want to leave and a few people want to move into. So on policy, Walz's record is one of failure. That being the case, what does he bring to the Democratic ticket? Well, offending rural voters and veterans. So, of course, we already know the veteran aspect of this, but how about the rural voter? So Democrats seem to think that Walz will appeal to swing voters in rural areas because he is a veteran from a small town. This may be for a rude awakening. Walz displaced in rural Minnesota, where he was routed to his re-election race in 2022. This is partly because he has been openly contemptuous of rural voters. He has famously caught on video telling fellow Democrats that they shouldn't worry about these broad red swaths on the map, because rural areas are most likely rocks and cows, which is just disgusting. That's what he thinks of you, the people. Thousands of small-town Minnesotans formed a group called Rocks and Cows of Minnesota, which sold merchandise and erected an anti-Walz billboards. I completely agree. As being for veterans, Walz did serve in Minnesota's National Guard for 24 years, rising to a high rank, but when Minnesota Guard was ordered to Iraq in 2005, rather than being deployed, Walz quit. Many of the fellow guardsmen are still bitter at what they regard as a betrayal, which is a complete betrayal, because if you are in this battalion for 24 years and all of a sudden you said, nah, I don't like you guys anymore, and you just leave, what is that? It just doesn't make any sense. So you're just going to up and leave your team just because of the fact that you want to be in the Senate, which is just stupid. It's not serving your country if you're in the Senate. It's actually being a failure if you're in the Senate, because most of the Democrats in the Senate is actually a big failure to the American people. They really are. Moving on to the next article, we actually have another Federalist article. We have AG's sued to stop Biden-Harris rule giving free health care to illegal aliens. So, of course, this situation that's happening is actually a really bad situation. You cannot have an illegal alien have more rights than the average American. It's just disgusting. How are we going to afford this? Nearly 18 months ago, the writer of this article noted that the pages of the likelihood of legal challenge to the Biden administration proposal to make eligible for Obamacare subsidies certain illegal immigrants, that legal challenge just became a reality. On Thursday, a series of Republican attorneys general led by Kansas Chris Kabrak filed a suit in federal court in North Dakota seeking to strike down this change. The rule, which the Biden administration finalized this spring, redefines the term lawfully present to make participants in a Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals (DACA) program eligible for exchange subsidies. AGs allege violations of federal law. The complaint alleges that the final rule violates two provisions of federal law. First, the 1996 Federal Welfare Reform Law prohibited the receipt of taxpayer-funded benefits to non-qualified aliens, notwithstanding any other provision of law, because the DACA represents recipients do not meet definition of qualified aliens. The welfare law prohibits them from receiving benefits irrespective of what Obamacare says. The lawsuit also alleges that the DACA recipients are ineligible for subsidies under the statutory definition included in Obamacare itself. The complaint notes that the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, the CMS, determination that deferred action represents are lawfully present is obviously a self-contradiction. It defines a lawfully present the class of individuals whom the Department of Homeland Security is deferring removal action based on their unlawful presence. Emphasis original. The suit cites both the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruling from 2019 that emphasizes the DACA program does not mean that participants are in any way lawfully present, as well as the 5th Circuit Court of Appeals ruling questioning DACA's own legality. It claims that the Biden administration's latest action violated the above referenced laws and was made in an arbitrary and capricious manner without considering the potential costs of the states, reconciliating contradictions with existing statutes, or providing a reason for changing an interpretation of the law that has existed for over a decade. Standing is a concern. When the administration released its final proposal back in the spring, it made DACA recipients eligible for subsidies on the Obamacare exchanges, but not the Medicaid expansion to able-bodied adults in those states that are participating in the expansion. The final rule claimed its deferral of Medicaid proposal related to unwinding states are undertaking to remove ineligible individuals from the rolls for the first time since COVID pandemic. But as this writer noted, the possibility of the legal challenge provided the real reason why the administration decided not to finalize the Medicaid component of their proposed rule. By making the DACA recipients eligible for exchange subsidies fully paid by the federal government instead of Medicaid paid by the states in Washington, the Biden administration is trying to avoid giving states standing to mount any legal challenge. In fact, the administration stated elsewhere in the regulation that the change does not require states to fund additional outreach and enrollment activities as a result of this rule. Apparently, the administration wants to avoid imposing any new costs on states and Medicaid on the exchanges or otherwise, because if court grants a state standing a challenge part of the rule, it could create an opening to strike the entire rule down. But because of the fact that they know it's not legal, that's exactly why they're doing it this way. In the component of the states advanced two arguments intended to give them grounds to the challenge. The administration's action first, the states claims that the providing subsidies to DACA will encourage illegal immigration, and that illegal immigration already poses a significant cost to the states. While a compelling policy argument, courts may look more skeptically at these types of general claims, although one can understand intuitively that providing benefits encourages illegal immigration. Even Hillary Clinton admitted as much, definitely proving that this specific change caused specific individuals to migrate and impose specifically higher costs on states because it becomes more difficult. However, the complaint also notes that Idaho and Virginia administer their state-run exchanges. As such, it notes that expanding eligibility for Obamacare coverage will impose additional administrative and resource burdens on states. By allowing additional persons to use such exchanges, while CMS claims in their final rule that the states will not incur additional outreach and enrollment activities, accepting them in processing more subsidy applications will impose costs on states running their own exchanges. Those higher costs should provide Idaho and Virginia with the legal standing to challenge the final rule. I completely agree. And of course, last but not least, Kamala Harris supports this illegal alien coverage. Now, this is the most important part of this all because of the fact that now it's costing you, the taxpayer, more on the federal level, but then they're also doing it very sneakily so then the states can actually stop this. So they don't want the states to stop this. They know that it's legal, and then Kamala Harris fully accepts this. The suit also provides a timely reminder that the presumptive Democratic nominee for president, Kamala Harris, supports providing taxpayer-funded health coverage to individuals illegally present in this country. While Harris has since renounced her support for the single-payer system of socialized Medicare or medicine, she has not budgeted an inch from her statements regarding coverage for illegal aliens. If Harris ever decides to answer questions from the reporters, and if Washington Press Corps ever decides to ask a Democrat presidential candidate tough questions, perhaps she should explain why she supports a Biden administration initiative that will increase illegal immigration and quite possibly violates federal law to do so. I completely agree with this because of the fact that you're going to sit here and make these comments about you supporting it back then. Do you still support it now? What situation do you actually support? Do you support socialized Medicare system so you cannot have your own private healthcare system? Do you support the illegal aliens getting paid Medicare systems? Do you agree with any of this? Like, we need to hear your take on this as running for president in America. With that being said, we do have a Daily Wire article here. We have Pelosi says letter about 2024 race did not sound like Joe Biden to me. President Joe Biden's letter last month, which declared that his intention to stay in the 2024 presidential race, didn't sound like him, according to the House Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, Democrat from California, in a letter which sent to national Democrats after fumbling debate performance and stirred a crisis of confidence in the electability. Biden insisted that he would not drop out to honor the will of more than 14 million primary voters who backed him. However, Biden leader did step aside as his allies kept up the pressure, paving the way for Vice President Kamala Harris to take his place leading the ticket. Quote, I did not accept the letter as anything but a letter, Pelosi said during an interview. Okay, so if it's not anything but a letter, who wrote the letter? If it's not Joe Biden, then who? His aides? Pelosi said during an interview with Inja Klin on her podcast for the New York Times, I mean, there are some people who are unhappy with the letter. Let me say it differently. Some people said that some people were unhappy. What does that even mean? Some people said some people. So you're just trying to be vague. So you just don't like the letter. There's some people who are unhappy with the letter. Let me say it differently. Some people unhappy with the letter. I'll put it in someone else's mouth. Oh my goodness graciousness. Pelosi, you're going crazy. It didn't sound like Joe Biden to me. It really didn't. The letter came up as Glenn asked Pelosi about her much discussed appearance on MSNBC's Morning Joe that followed, in which this former speaker emphasized that she would support whatever decision Biden made about his political future, even though the president was insisting at the time that he would not leave the race. Quote, I want to see a campaign that can win because I had a decision that I stayed in Congress to defeat what's his name because I think that he's a danger to the country, Pelosi said, alluding to former President Donald Trump. These people are just going crazy, I swear to God. Pelosi suggested that she wanted to use her Morning Joe appearance to say stop saying things because leaders of NATO were conveying in Washington, D.C. that week. Stop saying things. Oh, God. If someone has something to say, save it for later, until they're gone, Pelosi added, because this is a big deal. The summit of NATO, which he has strengthened, grow, and is now hosting, and they are doing things, and he's at the center of it all. Save your comments for later. Okay, so stop saying things. Some people say some people are unhappy. Goodness, we need a big poster board of all these sayings from Nancy Pelosi. The New York editor David Renmark noted in the recent interview with Pelosi that the people around the former president said that her Morning Joe appearance gave them space to call Biden to step aside. What does that even mean? Some people said that some people are upset. Save your comments for later. Oh, that actually gave me the momentum to actually say what I really mean now. Like, what? Democrats are so stupid. Pelosi said that she has never been that impressed with Biden's political operation. Wow. You've never been that impressed with Biden? That's crazy. So this is him at his worst. He's never been this impressed. The bar is like dug 10 feet in the ground. You've never been this impressed. Wow, that's crazy. When Biden did announce that he was exiting the race, he did so in another letter. At the time, the White House said that he had tested positive for COVID-19, and they snatched his phone and actually just made the announcement themselves. But Biden was actually in Delaware at the time, and he addressed the public from the White House a couple days later, saying that it was time for younger voices to lead. Stupid. CNN reported that Pelosi also told Biden in private that the polls showed that he could not defeat Trump, and warns that the president could hurt other Democrats in down the ticket races if they did not blow out. In recent days, Pelosi said that she had not spoken to Biden since he dropped out. Journalist Lindsay Shadale even told Pelosi that it had been said that Biden was furious with her for not having the president's back. Okay, but she didn't even say anything. Some people say that some people are upset. Save your comments for later. That's what she said. In a recent interview with CBS, Biden singled out Pelosi by her name, as he talked about why he ended his re-election bid. In explaining one of his reasons, Biden said a number of Democratic colleagues in the House and the Senate thought that it was going to hurt them in the races, and I was concerned if I stayed in the race, that would be the topic. You will be interviewing me about why did Nancy Pelosi say, why did so, and I thought it'll be the real distraction. Yeah, this is just real upsetting here. Yeah, this is just crazy because of the fact that Nancy Pelosi was behind the scenes telling him to drop out, and then publicly she's like, no, some people are saying that some people are upset here and it's okay and everything's good, and Nancy Pelosi is behind the stage saying, Joe Biden, you need to get out right now. I'm telling you, I'm going to get the boot if you don't get. I'm going to get the sandal. I'm going to get the sandal if you don't get out of here, Joe Biden. That's what she's saying behind the scenes. But then in public, she's like, nah, it's fine. Everything's good. Everything's good. Right, Joe? I'm going to kick him a little bit. Get him to wake up and, what's going on now? And then he just leaves. So, yeah, this is the Democratic Party in a nutshell. Not good whatsoever. Obviously, a real big embarrassment for the country. Really is. With that being said, we're going to do it for this episode of the Demetrius or Joe Show. If you did like this episode and you do want to see more, I do post new episodes of the show every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I will see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. Bye.